an executive program on millet cultivation and food innovation, and 4 memorandums of understanding covering maritime heritage, scientific research, skill development, agriculture, and business cooperation. The visit assumed added significance as India and Oman complete 70 years of diplomatic relations, reflecting deep historical, cultural, and people-to-people links. Earlier, upon his arrival in Muscat, Prime Minister Modi was received at the airport by the country's Deputy Prime Minister for Defence Affairs. The Prime Minister stated that the visit offers new opportunity to explore new avenues. After reaching his hotel, the Prime Minister received a warm welcome from members of the Indian diaspora, with cultural performances highlighting strong people-to-people connect. Prime Minister Modi also said that the affection and enthusiasm of the Indian community reflected the enduring bonds between India and Oman. Prime Minister Modi later held talks with Sultan Haitham bin Tariq, focusing on strengthening the strategic partnership across trade, investment, energy, defense, and regional cooperation. Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal also met his Omani counterpart to further deepen trade and investment ties between the two countries. Later, Prime Minister Modi addressed the India-Oman Business Summit, pitching the CEPA as a turning point in bilateral trade and a roadmap for future growth.
Friends, आप भारत और ओमान के बिजनेस हमारे ट्रेड को रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं। आप उस विरासत के वारिस हैं जिसका सदियों का एक समृद्ध इतिहास रहा है। सभ्यता के आरंभ से ही हमारे पूर्वज एक दूसरे के साथ मैरीटाइम ट्रेड कर रहे थे। अक्सर कहा जाता है कि समंदर के 2 किनारे बहुत दूर होते हैं, लेकिन मांडवी और मस्कत के बीच अरब सागर एक मजबूत ब्रिज बना है।
Anchoring the economic message in history, Prime Minister Modi pointed to centuries-old maritime links that continue to shape the partnership.
Friends, आज हम एक ऐसा ऐतिहासिक निर्णय ले रहे हैं जिसकी गूंज आने वाले कई दशकों तक सुनाई देगी। कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव इकोनॉमिक पार्टनरशिप एग्रीमेंट यानी सीपा हमारी पार्टनरशिप को 21st सेंचुरी में नया विश्वास, नई ऊर्जा से भर देगा। यह हमारे साझा भविष्य का ब्लूप्रिंट है। यह हमारे ट्रेड को नई गति देगा, इन्वेस्टमेंट को नया भरोसा देगा और हर सेक्टर में अवसरों के नए द्वार खोलेगा।
Prime Minister Modi's Oman visit reinforces India's expanding engagement with the Gulf and positions Oman as a key strategic and economic partner.
The Aravalli Range, one of the world's oldest mountain ranges and North India's natural shield against desertification, I beg your pardon, is under threat. Not from nature, but this time from a change in definition. There is a new classification, ladies and gentlemen, that proposes a landform will be recognized as part of the Aravalli only if it's 100 meters in height or higher. On paper, this looks very technical. On the ground, its impact is devastating. By this definition, only 8% of the Aravalli range qualifies, instantly stripping the remaining 91.3% of the legal identity as Aravalli. So what does this mean? Next, quite simply, over 90% of the Aravalli will no longer be counted as Aravalli at all and therefore no longer protected. That opens the door for large-scale mining, real estate activity, irreversible ecological damage. Environmentalists warn this is not just about hills or forests. It's about the survival of North India could edge towards desertification. The question India must now ask is stark and urgent. Can we afford to redefine and destroy our first line of environmental defense? Join the Save the Aravalli campaign, ladies and gentlemen. I want to go across to Rajendra Singh, environmentalist, to understand what this means. Rajendra Singh, namaste. Thank you for joining us. This is a big story that we're doing. 90% of the Aravalli shall no longer be the Aravallis. Just the definition change, but what a massive devastation for the Aravallis. They are destroying our northern shield.
Yes, you are right. You know, in 1991, the same Supreme Court, Justice Venkat Chalaya, gave the order for the protection of the Aravalli Hills and closed the mines. This start from Sariska Tiger Project. And after that, the 7th May 1992, the Aravalli Protection Act start in a notification in 7th May 1992 on Gurgaon and Alwar, both districts, no mining, nothing. And after that, my struggle is going on, and finally, High Courts and Supreme Courts, they decide the Aravalli is a very important a geomorphological mountain system, a contiguous system. So this system control the west, पश्चिम से आने वाली सैंड को, ये जो अरावली है, इसे हम आड़ा पर्वत कहते हैं. तो जो पश्चिम से हवा के साथ रेत आती है, वो अरावली पर्वत पूरे हरियाणा, पश्चिमी उत्तर प्रदेश, पूरा एनसीआर को प्रोटेक्ट करती है. उस वक्त जस्टिस वेंकट चलैया ने कमलनाथ जी को कहा था कि अरावली को बचाना बहुत जरूरी है. तब वो एनवायरमेंट मिनिस्टर थे और उन्होंने फिर पूरी अरावली के लिए एक प्रोटेक्शन नोटिफिकेशन किया था. और फिर बाद में हाई कोर्ट और सुप्रीम कोर्ट सब ने माइंस बंद कराई थी, क्योंकि सुप्रीम कोर्ट जानता था कि अरावली में माइनिंग का मतलब है डिजास्टर. और अरावली जो है, समझ में नहीं आता कि 100 मीटर ऊंची अरावली होगी और उससे नीचे अरावली नहीं होगी. अरावली पर्वत एक तरह से भूगर्भीय पर्वतमाला है जो धरती के अंदर से ऊपर आई है. तो ऊपर की 100 मीटर के ऊपर की अरावली कैसे होगी, नीचे की अरावली क्यों नहीं होगी? ये जो नीचे की अरावली को रोकती है और अरेबियन सी से और बे ऑफ बंगाल से आने वाले बादलों को अरावली में बरसाने का काम, इन दोनों को मिलाने का काम ये अरावली पर्वत करता है. इसीलिए जहां जहां अरावली है वहां कन्फाइंड वर्टिकल फ्रैक्चर होने के कारण अरावली के अंदर मीठा पानी है, पेयजल है, जबकि दूसरे हिस्सों में वैसी क्वालिटी का पेयजल नहीं है. अरावली एक तरह से भारत की हेरिटेज है, विरासत है, सबसे पुराना पर्वत माला, हमारी पर्वत श्रृंखला अरावली, यदि इसमें माइंस होंगी तो पूरी भारत की जो रीढ़ है 692 किलोमीटर आड़ी पर्वत, आड़ा मतलब तीखा, जो जो बाकी जो माउंटेन्स हैं वो ईस्ट से नॉर्थ से ईस्ट की तरफ जाते हैं, लेकिन ये जो माउंटेन है ये नॉर्थ से साउथ की तरफ जाता है, इसलिए इसको आड़ा पर्वत कहते हैं। ये पर्वत सचमुच बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है भारत के लिए, ये सब वैज्ञानिक भी कह रहे हैं, और पहले सुप्रीम कोर्ट के जजों ने जो डिसीजन दिए हैं उन डिसीजन को ठीक से देखा नहीं गया, और यदि उनको देख लिया जाता तो हमारा सुप्रीम कोर्ट तो हमारे लिए सम्माननीय है। वो ऐसे ऊंच नीच के भेद नहीं डालता अरावली में कि ऊंची अरावली होगी नीचे अरावली नहीं होगी। अरे अरावली तो नीचे से ही ऊपर जाती है, तो पहले तो उसका हमें आधार ही चाहिए। अरावली यदि माइंस होंगी तो हमारे पानी का संकट होगा, डेजर्टिफिकेशन होगा, और बहुत तरह की बीमारियां हमारे इस इलाके में फैलेगी। इसलिए आप कल्पना कर सकती हैं कि मैंने 1988 में अरावली को प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए सुप्रीम कोर्ट गया था, और जस्टिस वेंकटचलैया साहब ने और जीवन रेड्डी ने
जी,
माइंस को बंद करने का
that's right.
क्लियर कट आदेश दिया था। अब समझ में नहीं आता कि अचानक सेम सुप्रीम कोर्ट कैसे ये अरावली की डेफिनेशन को ऊंचे पर्वत अरावली हैं और नीचे अरावली नहीं है।
जी,
अरे भाई अरावली तो बिल्कुल
And-
हमारे
and
शरीर
इसी
जैसा।
टॉपिक पे राजेंद्र जी आज हम पूरा दिन डिबेट भी कर रहे थे, लोगों को कैंपेन भी करके समझा रहे थे, हमारा हैशटैग भी है। थैंक यू हमारे साथ बने रहने के लिए, थैंक यू फॉर बीइंग विद अस। सेव अरावली, सेव द अरावलीज इज द हैशटैग on Republic TV. This is a campaign we're not going to forget, because it's time the politicians woke up to the reality of the biggest emergency that India is facing right now, the environmental one. Thank you, sir, for being with us. And breaking news that's coming in right now, BJP leader Annamalai has been detained by the police in Tirupur while leading a protest against garbage dumping near the collector's office. The protest announced by the BJP was planned near the Kumaran statue, and Annamalai was arrested upon arrival. The party had organized the protest to highlight this issue with Annamalai at the forefront. I'm joined by my colleague Sharda, who's giving us those details, and we stay with those pictures of Annamalai, who's been detained by the police. Sharda, over to you. What's happening in Chennai?
Well, Annamalai had actually joined a protest done by the BJP in Tirupur. It is in regarding to the corporation and the municipal waste that's been dumped in the district of Tirupur. Outside, there is no proper waste management system, and the BJP has been asking the state government to deploy a proper waste management system in Tirupur. Whereas today the BJP held a long protest, and while protest to be held in Tirupur. Now, Annamalai has been detained, who is there, who is leading the protest. The former BJP president, who is talking against the government, announcing that the municipal corporation waste was dumped out in the public without, there was no proper treatment, there was no proper waste management done in Tirupur, and it's been going for a very long time. And that is what Annamalai had pointed. And today, following his protest, he was detained and arrested by the police in Tirupur.
Give us details about what's really happening there, Sharda, because it's shocking that a BJP leader, Annamalai, is being detained by the police. He's leading a protest against the garbage dumping. The BJP had planned this. The party had organized the protest to highlight the issue, and now he's being detained.
You see, Rhythm, it has been a pattern in the state of Tamil Nadu, whereas whenever the TMK is holding protest, there's always permission given. Even if 1 lakh people had to come for a meeting, they agree. There's immediate police protection. Whereas other opposition parties, especially whether it's BJP or AIADMK or Vijay CVK, planning to hold a rally or protest, and even that they want to do a public meeting, immediately there's questions from the police whether there is reason for permission. Multiple conditions are put even if the permission is given. And this is the pattern that the DMK has been following, that every time BJP protests anywhere in Tamil Nadu, they are immediately detained. If you see in the past few days, even the BJP state president, Naina Nagendran, was arrested when he had come down to Tirupurakkundra, Madurai, in relation to this Kartikai Deepam issue where the lamp was not lit on the hilltop. And the BJP president constantly being arrested comes as a sign that the DMK is not okay with other political parties holding a rally or a protest. And in any time in the past, I see even in the protest that was held in Chennai, multiple leaders get even house arrested. If you see, Tamansi Soundarajan has been arrested in a house multiple
All right,
times.
Sharda, as you're giving us those details and you have to go back to what's happening there, we're going to move on to what we've been discussing today, viewers. Parliament has ignored India's biggest public health emergency. That's our top focus. Even coming up after a short break, we're going to be debating on pollution that is being pushed. Politicians are choosing to ignore the AQI emergency that affects 60% of India. We're back with our campaign, our number one issue after a short break. Stay on with us.
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है? अरे मेरी राजा, ये है सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिप जल जीरा मसाला। सिप सिप जीरा सिप जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
आर प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ,
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला।
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर, माँ की मुस्कुराहट और खाने की सुगंध। MDH गरम मसाला।
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता
If an issue that affects 60% of India is not an issue, then what is? How is the most important issue the least important for politicians? The debate that everyone wants, only Arnab talks about it. Hashtag Nota for AQI, tonight at 8 p.m.
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो। मतवारा हुआ रे, केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है? अरे मेरी राजा,
राजा आर प्योर मसाला।
In the high-stakes world of global diplomacy, grand summits and formal handshakes and hugs often grab the headlines. But
If an issue that affects 60% of India is not an issue, then what is? How is the most important issue the least important for politicians? The debate that everyone wants, only Arnab talks about it. Hashtag Nota for AQI, tonight at 8 p.m.
आर प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, हेल्दी एवरीडे।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो। मतवारा हुआ रे, केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है? अरे मेरी राजा,
राजा आर प्योर मसाला।
Please stop! झुमका तेरा झुमका
Not there. मेरा काउंटर टॉप टूट जाएगा.
तेरा झुमका. No. मेरी चिमनी टूट जाएगी. What are you doing?
रानी, इस घर में कुछ है जो टूटता नहीं.
ये पिलर कभी नहीं टूटेगा. रुंगटा स्टील TMT से बना.
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं. रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड.
ये है सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिप जलजीरा मसाला. सिप जीरा सिप MDH का जीरा सिप MDH का जीरा सिप.
XTR is the most advanced helicopter which is present with Indian Navy. It's an all-weather aircraft which can operate by day and night both.
Good evening, viewers. You're watching the latest edition of 6 Stories at 6. I am Rakshita Mishra with you this Thursday evening, viewers. Now, the big focus of Republic TV remains the soaring AQI. The netas don't care. They don't have time for the debate in the parliament for AQI. Once again, the debate has been stalled. There is no time to talk of priorities, viewers. The second story is again the blame game. There's no shame in blame game. They continue with the political finger pointing as the citizens of Delhi, the people of Delhi, young, old, everybody is affected by this toxic air. And we'll tell you why the people are not going to stop questioning. Republic TV's campaign, Nota for AQI, is flooded with responses. We'll show you what the people of the country are saying. This is a problem that has affected 60% of the country, viewers. And story number 4 is the Aravallis, viewers. This Supreme Court ruling that redefines what are the Aravalli Hills. That is a disaster in making, says the experts on environment. We'll get you more details on that. And also on the show, we tell you how the radicals continue to run amok in Dhaka on the streets. They continue to target India. The Hate India campaign comes to a peak as the elections are nearing in Bangladesh. We'll tell you also about the landmark FTA, the trade deal between India and Oman that boosts the economic interests of India in the Gulf region. Let's start with the big debate on AQI, viewers. The debate that did not happen, in fact, in the parliament. Every breath in the national capital comes with a risk today. The children, elderly, families, they're all paying the price of toxic air while the politicians look the other way. Debate stops and adjournments begin. People are left to suffocate in silence. The right to breathe clean air should not be a privilege, ladies and gentlemen. It should be non-negotiable. But the ones you vote for are not at all serious about it, viewers. This is the truth of the matter. We'll just move forward, and I'm going to tell you how the netas have been busy joking. Delhi jokes, and these parliamentarians are just busy joking. It's a joke for them. They have no time to debate the toxic air, rising AQI. They have all the time for debate, for SIR, for disruption, for drama, for adjournments. Now, they protest on what they allege is vote chori, but India says no votes if no neta takes the air they breathe seriously. Parliament today was again adjourned in both houses without discussion on soaring AQI. More in this report.
As Delhi chokes yet again, its leaders look the other way. The air is poisonous, pollution levels are soaring. But inside the House, there was no debate, no discussion, no urgency. What you see on screen is the real-time data of the soaring AQI in just the national capital. The data represents AQI from severe to hazardous situation. This comparison among the AQI of Delhi and other national capitals shows the pathetic situation Indians are left to live in. Instead of addressing Delhi's worsening air crisis, lawmakers choose adjournment. Once again, pollution was pushed to the back burner. The right to breathe fresh air has become a privilege for a layman in India, as poor AQI becomes a nationwide biggest health emergency that affects 60% of India. The past few days in Parliament witnessed several discussions and debates. From renaming Mangrega to VBG Ramji to vote chori to Vande Mataram. But the debate on the biggest public health emergency was nowhere to be found. With just one day remaining for the winter session of the Parliament to conclude, debate on worsening AQI across the nation seems difficult, showcasing how people-centric issues hold the least importance for our very own elected politicians.
Another long line outside the CNG pump, as you can see, as there are checkings going on at the petrol pumps to make sure that every vehicle has a PUC certificate, which is a pollution under control certificate. From today onwards, there are around 78 to 80 teams deployed at various petrol pumps and borders to make sure that proper checking is done. So if any vehicle does not have the mandatory PUC certificate, they will not be allowed to get the fuel.
But Republic chose to make a difference. With our campaign, #NOTA4AQI, we chose not to look the other way and echo public sentiments and demand for the right to breathe fresh air. Delhi government has ordered that the vehicles without a valid pollution under control certificate will not be provided fuel at petrol pumps in Delhi. But the question still remains, is it enough? Delhi is gasping, the air is deadly, and the silence in power is no solution. Because the right to breathe cannot wait for the next season.
No debate, only blame game. And there's no shame in blame game, as it seems, for these netas. Delhi is gasping for breath and toxic air engulfs the national capital. The political war of words over responsibility, over accountability is taking the centre stage now. BJP has launched a sharp attack on former Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, the Aam Aadmi Party government, accusing him of misleading the people of Delhi, failing to act on pollution for over a decade now. But Kejriwal has also hit back, slamming the centre for shifting the blame. Now, as the political blame game continues, Delhi is only choking on poisonous air. Delhi is choking on toxic air. Air quality levels have slipped into the hazardous zone. Visibility is low. But as the condition worsens, the political blame game between BJP and Aam Aadmi Party has taken centre stage. BJP has launched a scathing attack on former Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal for misleading the people of Delhi and failing to act on pollution for over a decade.
पोल्यूशन कोई एक साल में पैदा हुई समस्या नहीं है। बरसों से पोल्यूशन दिल्ली में बढ़ता जा रहा है और केजरीवाल जी अगर थोड़ा सा भी काम कर देते तो हमको बाकी का बचा हुआ काम करना पड़ता, मगर दुर्भाग्य ये रहा कि केजरीवाल जी ने केवल दिल्ली की जनता को गुमराह किया, धोखा दिया और ये जो सारे काम करने थे, ये जो सारे कामों का पहाड़ बन गया, ये सारे काम हमको करने पड़े। केवल वो दिल्ली की जनता को सब्सिडी के बहाने दिल्ली की लोगों में इवन ऑड करके रेड लाइट ऑन, गाड़ी ऑफ, ये सब ऐसा ड्रामा करके उन्होंने दिल्ली की जनता को बिजी कर दिया।
इस वक्त जो भी पोल्यूशन है दिल्ली में, वो दिल्ली का अपना पोल्यूशन है और दिल्ली को ये पोल्यूशन दूर करने के लिए दिल्ली को और केंद्र सरकार को उचित कदम उठाने चाहिए। पहला, दिल्ली ने 10 साल जब तक हमारी सरकार थी, इस दौरान इतना सीवियर पोल्यूशन कभी नहीं देखा था। अभी भी जो AQI दिखा रहे हैं, ये ऑफिशियल AQI, वो ऑफिशियल AQI भी सब लोग जानते हैं कि वो मैनिपुलेटेड है, पूरा दम घोटू वातावरण है और उस पोल्यूशन को कंट्रोल करने की बजाय पूरा का पूरा गड़बड़ करने की तरफ उनका ध्यान है।
Delhi Environment Minister Manjinder Singh Sirsa maintains that BJP has inherited the problem of pollution from the Aam Aadmi Party government.
दिल्ली के नागरिकों से आग्रह करता हूं, आप हमारा इसमें सहयोग करिए, मैं आपके सहयोग की उम्मीद करता हूं। दिल्ली का पोल्यूशन हम मिलकर ही लड़ सकते हैं, पोल्यूशन हमारे द्वारा ही दिया गया है, कोई बाहर से तो आता नहीं है। अब हम मिलेंगे, इसको ठीक करेंगे, तभी आज मैं इतना बता सकता हूं आपको कि मेरा अगले 7 दिन तक अच्छे नहीं है। मैं फिर से आपके टीवी चैनल पर बोलना चाहता हूं, अगले 7 दिन पिछले साल के आंकड़ों को अगर मैं देख रहा हूं तो अच्छे नहीं होने वाले। पिछले साल के आंकड़ों में अगले 7 दिन 450 एवरेज AQI था, इसलिए अगला मौसम पुराने इंडेक्स के मुताबिक खराब रहने वाला है, लेकिन उसको हम 100 पॉइंट AQI को नीचे लाएं, ये हमारे लिए जीत हो सकते हैं, इसी पे हम काम कर रहे हैं।
And as the city gasps for breath, the political war over responsibility shows no signs of easing. Well, the politicians across parties are weaseling out from their responsibility, but Republic has reached out to people through our relentless campaign, #Nota for AQI. And people are coming forward in large numbers. In this report, we bring you the voice of people of the country against air pollution. The anger is palpable and their voices are only growing louder.
Republic's relentless campaign for cleaner air, Nota for AQI. While politicians voted to power shuffle off the responsibility, Republic reached out to people.
Hi Arnab, this is Srinivasan from Chennai, and I am a proud member of Nationalist Collective. I need to appreciate you and the entire team of Republic. Now coming to the point, I have a question for BJP. What was their main point in their Delhi election manifesto with regard to air pollution? They should come out clean with regard to that particular point, because now they cannot say 80 दिन में क्या होगा, 90 दिन में क्या होगा.
With AQI plummeting, parts of North India are breathing inhuman level of toxic air. Echoing the sentiments of the people, Republic started the Nota for AQI and people came forward.
Hello everyone, I'm Mudita Bagla, I'm from Kolkata, and let me tell you, the AQI level is rapidly increasing in Kolkata and it's becoming extremely suffocating for all of us to survive, to travel, to even step out. I really wish the state government takes certain strict measures to control the situation so that we can breathe clean, fresh air once again and live our life happily.
दिल्ली में AQI 400 के पार ये कोई खराब हवा की बात नहीं है, ये पॉइजनस हवा की बात ही नहीं है, ये एक बहुत बड़ा अलार्म है। हम लोग कहाँ जा रहे हैं, किस रास्ते पे चल रहे हैं। आज सारे नेता, सारे पॉलिटिशियन, सारे इसी बात को बात करते हैं, डेवलपमेंट डेवलपमेंट डेवलपमेंट। हम लोग का क्या डेवलपमेंट हो रहा है? AQI बढ़ता चला जा रहा है। हम लोग ने कभी सोचा है कि हम लोग कहाँ पे जा कर के पहुँचेंगे? तो डेवलपमेंट के साथ हमको ये भी देखना है।
Clean air is our right.
With video responses and WhatsApp flooding with more than 2,000 messages, Nota for AQI reached more than 4 lakh accounts on Twitter.
मैं शशि अडुकिया ग्रेटर नोएडा वेस्ट से एयर पोल्यूशन पर आपको कुछ बताना चाहती हूँ। एयर क्वालिटी खराब होने के कारण आज स्थिति बहुत ही गंभीर है। हवा सांस लेने के लायक नहीं है, मगर जाएं तो जाएं कहाँ। मैं सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट से रिक्वेस्ट करती हूँ कि इस समस्या पर जल्द से जल्द कार्रवाई करें ताकि हम और हमारा शहर स्वस्थ और खुश रह सके। धन्यवाद।
उसको निकाल कर बाहर।
While politicians across party lines put the biggest national emergency on the back burner, people are raising their voice through Nota for AQI.
Hello everyone, myself Gurleen Kaur. I'm from Mumbai and it's my request to the BJP government, to the central government, that clean air is our right, first of all. Secondly, stop making this as a joke. people are choking in North India, and you are literally making joke of it. You are playing passing the parcel, and this is really not the time to play games, to play your politics. Work instead of blaming others.
Nota for AQI calls out the national air emergency, a risk affecting more people than COVID can.
The air quality where I live has been consistently above 200 for the past many months, largely due to unregulated construction and activities of similar nature. It's time for the government to stop overlooking something as integral and as all-pervasive as air. Because it's affecting the health of the citizens in a big way at this point. And as individual citizens, there's only so much that can be done because these large-scale activities need regulation. And so I don't know how to put it more simply, but I just want to breathe better.
With Lok Sabha adjourned without scheduled debate on pollution, political parties dodge the issue and India continues to breathe toxic air.
And if the rising pollution was not enough, there's another issue that is now posing. It's as high as the Aravalli Hills. Now, Supreme Court ruling on the definition of the Aravalli Hills has sparked protests and environmental concerns. The new definition could strip the legal protection from large parts of the Aravalli range, increasing the risk of mining and environmental damage and water stress across North India. Aravalli is the shield, viewers. It could even lead to more pollution if these mountain ranges are killed. And there are much more bigger ecological and security concerns with regard to this redefinition that is now coming in as a death sentence for the Aravallis. Here's more. India's oldest mountain range is at the center of a growing national storm. A Supreme Court verdict redefining the Aravalli Hills has triggered protests, panic, and fears of irreversible environmental damage. On the 20th of November, the Supreme Court accepted a new definition proposed by the Union Environment Ministry, saying only landforms rising 100 meters or more above the surrounding terrain will now be legally recognized as Aravalli Hills. This verdict removes protection from nearly 90% of the Aravalli region, opening the door to mining, real estate, and large-scale destruction. Environmental experts warn this is no longer just an ecological issue, as the Aravallis act as a national security wall, blocking the spread of desert sands from the Thar Desert. These hills help reduce extreme heat and protect the climate across the region. Lower ridges, now excluded, play a crucial role in groundwater recharge, dust control, and temperature regulation, especially for Delhi NCR. But removing these natural barriers will worsen air pollution, intensify heat waves, and accelerate water scarcity for millions in Rajasthan, Haryana, and NCR. The Aravallis are not just hills, they are the green lungs of North India, a climate shield, a water source, and a frontline defense against environmental collapse. Once these ancient hills are lost, the damage may be permanent and the cost national. Radical protests, the radicals are on the loose in Dhaka, and the protests are erupting on the streets of Dhaka, with demonstrators raising anti-India slogans openly in public. Tensions escalate as barricades erected by the Bangladesh police, Dhaka police near the Hussain Market in Badda were broken down. Protests surged forward, refusing to disperse, and the heart of this unrest is a controversial demand, the return of former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and former Home Minister Asaduzzaman Khan Kamal. Both have been sentenced to death for what they say crimes against humanity linked to the 2024 uprising in Bangladesh, viewers. But as the elections near in Bangladesh, we see that anti-India campaign is only being fueled day in and day out. Marches to the Indian High Commission are witnessed every day in Dhaka.
Radical protesters have flooded the streets of Dhaka, chanting anti-India slogans, gathering in large numbers outside India's visa center. Anti-India rhetoric echoed through the streets, with protesters openly accusing New Delhi of interference in Bangladesh's internal politics. Barricades put up by Bangladesh police in front of Hossain Market in Bada were torn down as protesters pushed forward, refusing to disperse. Their demand: the extradition of former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and former Home Minister Azaduzzaman Khan Kamal, who were sentenced to death for crimes against humanity during the July uprising in 2024.
In broad daylight, Osman Hadi, who had his rise after the revolution that happened in Bangladesh, which ousted Sheikh Hasina, floated his own political platform called Inqilab Manch. Now, while he was also a potential candidate of this Inqilab Manch for the upcoming elections, national elections in Bangladesh, he was continuously spreading radical information and preaching radicalism in Bangladesh, most of which was anti-Indian rhetoric.
India's diplomatic presence in Bangladesh is on security alert. Although India has resumed the visa service center in Dhaka, other two visa services facility in Rajshahi and Khulna has been closed for now, temporarily. On Wednesday, Bangladesh High Commissioner Emriaz Hamidullah was summoned by India's Ministry of External Affairs over threats of isolating the Seven Sisters from India. The comment came in from National Citizen Party leader Hasnat Abdullah, known for his anti-India stand. In Bangladesh's new political order, attacking India is no longer optional, but a path to power. Now, from student leaders to militant-linked actors, anti-India threats are now being articulated openly, publicly, and without fear of immediate political consequence.
And Prime Minister Narendra Modi wrapped up a high-impact two-day visit to Oman with the final leg of his three-nation tour after Jordan and Ethiopia. And at the visit, delivered concrete outcomes on trade and strategic cooperation, including the signing of a free trade agreement while reinforcing strong people-to-people ties. Viewers, here's the full report.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's final leg of his three-nation tour in Oman delivered key outcomes on trade and strategic cooperation. India and Oman signed the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement aimed at boosting bilateral trade, easing market access, and encouraging investments. The agreement is expected to significantly reduce or eliminate tariffs, which currently range as high as 100% on several industrial products, giving Indian exporters a major competitive advantage in the Omani market. Formal negotiations for the agreement began in November 2023 and were completed earlier this year. Oman is the third largest export destination for India among the Gulf Cooperation Council countries. India and Oman also signed a joint maritime vision document, an executive program on millet cultivation and food innovation, and 4 memorandums of understanding covering maritime heritage, scientific research, skill development, agriculture, and business cooperation. The visit assumed added significance as India and Oman complete 70 years of diplomatic relations, reflecting deep historical, cultural, and people-to-people links. Earlier, upon his arrival in Muscat, Prime Minister Modi was received at the airport by the country's Deputy Prime Minister for Defence Affairs. The Prime Minister stated that the visit offers new opportunity to explore new avenues. After reaching his hotel, the Prime Minister received a warm welcome from members of the Indian diaspora, with cultural performances highlighting strong people-to-people connect. Prime Minister Modi also said that the affection and enthusiasm of the Indian community reflected the enduring bonds between India and Oman. Prime Minister Modi later held talks with Sultan Haitham bin Tariq, focusing on strengthening the strategic partnership across trade, investment, energy, defense, and regional cooperation. Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal also met his Omani counterpart to further deepen trade and investment ties between the two countries. Later, Prime Minister Modi addressed the India-Oman Business Summit, pitching the CEPA as a turning point in bilateral trade and a roadmap for future growth.
फ्रेंड्स, अब भारत और ओमान के बिजनेस हमारे ट्रेड को रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं। आप उस विरासत के वारिस हैं जिसका सदियों का एक समृद्ध इतिहास रहा है। सभ्यता के आरंभ से ही हमारे पूर्वज एक दूसरे के साथ मैरीटाइम ट्रेड कर रहे थे। अक्सर कहा जाता है कि समंदर के दो किनारे बहुत दूर होते हैं, लेकिन मांडवी और मस्कत के बीच अरब सागर एक मजबूत ब्रिज बना है।
Anchoring the economic message in history, Prime Minister Modi pointed to centuries-old maritime links that continue to shape the partnership.
फ्रेंड्स, आज हम एक ऐसा ऐतिहासिक निर्णय ले रहे हैं जिसकी गूंज आने वाले कई दशकों तक सुनाई देगी। कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव इकोनॉमिक पार्टनरशिप एग्रीमेंट यानी सीपा हमारी पार्टनरशिप को 21st सेंचुरी में नया विश्वास, नई ऊर्जा से भर देगा। यह हमारे साझा भविष्य का ब्लूप्रिंट है। यह हमारे ट्रेड को नई गति देगा, इन्वेस्टमेंट को नया भरोसा देगा और हर सेक्टर में अवसरों के नए द्वार खोलेगा।
Prime Minister Modi's Oman visit reinforces India's expanding engagement with the Gulf and positions Oman as a key strategic and economic partner.
And with that, a wrap on this edition of 6 Stories at 6. We'll be right back with live and breaking at 6:30. Thanks for watching.
आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला।
13,000 placements last year. At Amity, we are committed to nurturing passionate, hardworking and proactive professionals.
प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो, मिलाओ और खाओ।
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है, सबका राजा हार्डवेयर मसाला।
झुमका तेरा झुमका तेरा झुमका
नॉट देयर, मेरा काउंटर टॉप टूट जाएगा।
तेरा झुमका
मेरी चिमनी टूट जाएगी। What are you doing?
रानी, इस घर में कुछ है जो टूटता नहीं।
ये पिलर कभी नहीं टूटेगा। रुंगटा स्टील TMT से बना।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड।
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल, ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा।
If an issue that affects 60% of India is not an issue, then what is? how is the most important issue the least important for politicians? The debate that everyone wants, only Arnab talks about it. Hashtag Nota for AQI, tonight at 8 p.m.
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
Parliament ignores India's biggest public health emergency. Debate on pollution is pushed as politicians choose to ignore the AQI emergency that affects 60% of India. Is Nota the only option if politicians fail to address an issue bigger than COVID? Nota for AQI becomes the biggest viral campaign of 2025. Campaign to save the Aravali's gathers steam. National concern over redefining Aravali mountain range that protects all of North India. Activists say approval of new definition will open up Aravali's for mining exploitation across the 650-kilometer belt, say new definition ensures more than 90% of the Aravali hills will not be counted as Aravalis anymore. From 2020 to 2025, Republic beats Aaj Tak to become India's most loved channel. Those who tried to stop Republic have been taught a lesson by the viewers. And Republic Bharat beats Aaj Tak. Republic Bangla beats ABP Ananda. Arnab's debate is unmatched on Indian television. Republic TV is India's most influential news network. Good evening, welcome to Republic. I'm Ridhum. Our top focus, the Competition Commission of India has taken cognizance of the information filed against Indigo regarding the recent flight disruptions on various routes in the aviation sector. Based on the preliminary investigation, the Commission has now decided to proceed in the matter in accordance with what they have, the provisions of the Competition Act 2002. And the other big focus, viewers, the Minister Kotaki controversy has intensified. The opposition now demands his disqualification. This follows a court judgment that held him guilty of corruption. The NCP-SP spokesperson Nirmala S. has said resignation is not enough. It's disqualification that is necessary. The opposition alleges the ruling party is shielding Kotaki due to upcoming elections, claiming ignoring the verdict is undermining judicial respect. It's damaging government credibility. Let me go across to Meenakshi, who's joining us live from Mumbai on the story. Meenakshi, the opposition seeks the ouster of Ajit Pawar's minister. It's clear that this time it's a call for disqualification that they are looking at.
Yes, Ridham, as you have rightly mentioned, that opposition speaks on Republic and they say that they want disqualification. What is the matter? We know Kotake's resignation came days after the court found him guilty in a decade-old case, and it was in 1995. You know, then the case dates back to 1995 when Kotake was accused of misusing his position. And he secured some undue benefits, and he causing financial, and for this government faced financial losses. After that, what happened? Nasik Session Court found him guilty, and after that, the arrest warrant issued. What Kotake did, he admitted himself in Lilavati hospital, and after the political pressure, he had resigned, and his resignation accepted by governor. But now Ajit Pawar tweeted, and he tweeted Maharashtra cabinet minister. My party colleague Sri Manikrao Kotake has submitted his resignation to me following the outcome of the Honorable Court's verdict. In keeping with our party's long-standing philosophy that the rule of law is supreme and above all individuals, the resignation has been accepted in principle.
Thank you, Meenakshi. Yes, thank you, Meenakshi, for giving us those facts and details. We really have to see where the story heads. Viewers, we're also going to give you details of all the headlines that making it news today across the nation. Opposition MPs carry out a protest march on the parliament premises against the centre's decision on renaming MG Narega to VBG Ramji. A huge deployment of security forces at Telangana Congress headquarters. Congress called for a protest against the BJP, alleging political vendetta against party. There's also been a massive fire that's broken out in a 3-story footwear godown in Ajmer. The fire was brought under control by firefighters. Early investigation suggests the cause of fire was a short circuit. At least 4 residential houses were gutted in the fire. After a fire broke out in a Jammu and Kashmir village, soldiers reached the spot. They immediately launched rescue and firefighting operations. Global football icon Lionel Messi spent an immersive and deeply personal day at Vanthra, the Wildlife Rescue, Rehabilitation and Conservation Centre in Jamnagar, hosted by Anant Ambani and Radhika Merchant. The visit unfolded as rare confluence of spirituality, culture and compassion, offering Messi a first-hand glimpse into India's timeless traditions and values. At Vanthra, Messi experienced India in its most authentic form. Through puja, meditation, temple rituals, he engaged with living traditions that have been passed down for generations. The Aravalli Range, one of the world's oldest mountain ranges and North India's natural shield against desertification, is under threat, not from nature, but from a change in definition. A new classification proposes that a landform will be recognized as part of the Aravalli only if it's 100 meters in height or higher. On paper, this looks technical. On ground, it's devastating. By this definition, only 8.7% of the Aravalli Range qualifies, instantly stripping the remaining 91.3% of its legal identity as Aravalli. So what does this mean next for us? Quite simply, 90% of the Aravalli will no longer be counted as Aravalli at all, therefore no longer be protected. This opens the Pandara's door for large-scale mining, real estate activity, irreversible ecological damage. Environmentalists warn this is not just about hills or forests, it's about the survival of North India's climate balance. If the Aravalli dies, experts caution vast parts of North India could edge towards desertification. The question India now asks is stark, it's urgent. Can we afford to redefine and destroy our first line of environmental defense? Viewers, do join the Save the Aravalli campaign. Be a part of this with us. We're joined on this story by 2 guests, Dr. Lokesh Bhivani, environmentalists, as we are seeing the forest cover shirking, and Kailash Meena, environmentalist. And as we're going to be looking and speaking with both of them, we try and understand from Dr. Lokesh Bhivani and Kailash Meena to really understand why this landform change of definition was there and how it's going to impact us. Kailash Meena is there with us. Dr. Lokesh Bhivani, if I could come to you first. We've seen this definition change has come across. How is this going to impact us?
जी बिल्कुल। जैसा कि पूरे देश में भी बातचीत चल रही है अरावली को लेकर के, और आप भी हम लोग यहाँ पे बैठ के बात कर रहे हैं। देखिए, मैं जहाँ से आता हूँ हमारे क्षेत्र में काफ़ी हिस्सा अरावली का है, और हमारे हिस्से में, हमारे गाँव में, मेरा गाँव भी जहाँ पे है उससे थोड़ा दूर पे ही माइनिंग होती है। दादरी में भी और भिवानी में भी, और महेंद्रगढ़ में भी काफ़ी हद तक जो है हमारा क्षेत्र है जो अरावली का है, वहाँ पर गाँव के गाँव बहुत ज़्यादा बीमारियों में है, और बहुत ज़्यादा इकोसिस्टम है वहाँ का कोलैप्स हो चुका है। इसी बात को हम ये समझने की बताने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि अगर ये 90% से ज़्यादा अरावली इसमें आ रही है इस डेफिनेशन में, उसको अगर डिस्ट्रॉय कर दिया गया तो हमें बहुत ज़्यादा समस्याओं का सामना करना पड़ेगा, जिसमें मुख्य रूप से तो ये जो राजस्थान है इसका जितना भी धूल भरी आंधियां आती हैं, जितनी भी चीजें उधर से होती हैं, ये पूरा का पूरा रेगिस्तानीकरण इसका हो जाएगा। और दूसरा, इतनी ज्यादा बीमारियां यहाँ पे फैल रही हैं। आप एक गांव है खानक, अगर वहां पर आएंगे तो आपको पता चलेगा पूरा का पूरा गांव दमा और टीबी की बीमारियों से जूझ रहा है। उसकी वजह क्या है? उसकी वजह है माइनिंग। दूसरा, पहले कभी ऐसा नहीं होता था कि हमारे गांव में कभी चीते या जो लकड़बग ये सब आए, लेकिन अब इतने ज्यादा आते हैं क्योंकि उनके घरों को तोड़ दिया गया है, अरावली को तोड़ दिया गया है। और अरावली को अगर इस तरह से खत्म किया गया तो वो दिन दूर नहीं है जब सारे के सारे जानवर गांव में आएंगे, और ये जो मानव और पशुओं का जो आपस का जो कॉन्फ्लिक्ट है वो इतना ज्यादा बढ़ जाएगा। दूसरा, यह हम जब अरावली को देखते हैं, हमें सांस अरावली से आता है, और इस अरावली को खत्म करने पर हम एक तरफ तो AQI को कम करने की बात कर रहे हैं दिल्ली में, हम दिल्ली की क्या बात कर रहे हैं, पूरे देश में ही AQI इतना है, हम सिर्फ डेटा दिल्ली का ही ले रहे हैं, और दूसरी तरफ हम इतने बड़े क्षेत्र को काट रहे हैं। क्या अरावली आपने उगाया है? क्या अरावली को आपने बड़ा किया है? एक बात मैं यहाँ पे ये भी कहना चाहूंगा कि अरावली को आप कह रहे हैं कि 100 मीटर जो है धरती से 100 मीटर, तो वो जब आप उसको माइनिंग के लिए देंगे तो आप हमारी तरफ आइए या जहां पे भी माइनिंग होती है वहां पे जाइए, तो आपको पता चलेगा कि वो माइनिंग करने वाले लोग तो 100 मीटर नीचे भी जाते हैं। तो क्या नीचे से नहीं उसकी जो आप उसका जो नपाई है वो नहीं होनी चाहिए? 200 मीटर नीचे तक भी जाते हैं तो 300 मीटर तो नीचे ही आप उसको ले रहे हैं, 100 मीटर ऊपर की आप बात कर रहे हैं। तो ये बिल्कुल ही गलत है, ये डेफिनेशन वापस होनी चाहिए, इसको रद्द किया जाना चाहिए।
Kailash Meena, I also want to ask you, this is a definition that is going to cause even further damage. And I was actually looking through what it says. I was looking to the 20th November order. It's actually causing, it says that it's basically going to lead to desertification from the Thar Desert into Delhi, NCR and beyond. That's the impact of this simple technical change in definition. How are you looking at it?
कि जब ये डेफिनेशन नहीं आई, उससे पहले की स्थिति देखिए कि हमने 25% अरावली नष्ट कर दी, और ये नष्ट होने का परिणाम ये है कि जब जब हीट वेव पूरे उत्तर भारत में जिस तरह की भयावह स्थिति पैदा हो जाती, अभी दिल्ली या प्रदूषण देखिए, पूरे उत्तर भारत की स्थिति देखिए, अरावली पूरे उत्तर भारत में गर्म हवाओं का ज्यादा से रोकती है, रेगिस्तान का विस्तार रोकती है, इस सब चीजों की बात। और वाटर रिचार्ज का सबसे बड़ा सोर्स कि जो पानी धरती में रिचार्ज करे, राजस्थान में केवल 32 ब्लॉक्स में पीने लायक पानी है, नोटिफाइड डार्क जोन है, इसी इलीगल माइनिंग की वजह से। तो अब आप कल्पना करिए, जब ये बैरिकेड हट जाएंगे, ये जो नई डेफिनेशन लागू होगी, उसके बाद क्या भयावह स्थिति होगी। भाई, आपकी टेक्नोलॉजी, आपका तमाम कानून, आपके पास इतनी चीजें हैं, वो सबके रहते हुए आपने इतनी अरावली को नष्ट कर दिया, तो फिर बताइए सबके छूट मिलने के बाद क्या स्थिति होगी, ये कल्पना करिए आप।
जी, आई ऑल्सो वॉन्ट टू आस्क यू, जैसे ये हम जो नई डेफिनेशन देख रहे हैं, एक यूनिफॉर्म डेफिनेशन एग्जिस्ट नहीं करती थी डॉक्टर लोकेश भिवानी, तो कमेटी ने प्रपोज किया है कोई भी स्लोप 100 मीटर से कम हो वो अरावली हिल नहीं होगी। क्या ये हेल्पफुल है? ये सजेशन आई ही क्यों?
ये सवाल देखिए हम लोग भी सरकार से भी कर रहे हैं कि किस आधार पर ये डेफिनेशन सुझाई गई, क्योंकि इसका कोई भी ना तो पर्यावरण के हित में कोई बात समझ में आती है, मानव के हित में भी कोई बात समझ में नहीं आती है। दूसरा, सर ने भी जो बताया, कैलाश जी ने बताया वाटर के बारे में, मैं आपको मेरे पास एक रिपोर्ट है, उसके अनुसार दादरी जिले का रामलावास गांव है, उसके पानी के अंदर इतना ज्यादा क्लोराइड पाया गया है, अगर आप उसको 1 महीने भी लगातार पिएंगे तो आपकी किडनी डैमेज हो जाएगी। तो ये तो उन सारे एरिया की बात है जहां पे ऑलरेडी माइनिंग हो रही है, और आप माइनिंग के लिए खोल देंगे तो क्या सिर्फ देखो, आप घूम फिर के सब बातें जो कनेक्ट हो रही हैं वो माइनिंग से हो रही हैं कि इस क्षेत्र को माइनिंग के लिए खोलने के लिए या डेफिनेशन दी गई है क्या? अगर ऐसा है तो ये तो पूरी तरह से गलत है। दूसरा पक्ष ये बताया जाए, क्या ये डेफिनेशन देने से पहले इतने सारे एनवायरमेंटलिस्ट हैं, एनजीओ हैं, एक्टिविस्ट हैं, जनता है, क्या उनसे पूछा नहीं जाना चाहिए था? क्या सदन में इस बारे में पहले चर्चा नहीं होनी चाहिए थी? ये चर्चा होनी चाहिए थी तो तमाम बातें निकल के आती। आप सीधे तौर पर अगर थोप देंगे कि जी आज से 100 मीटर से ऊपर जो है वही अरावली है, नीचे नहीं है, तो इसका तो कोई आधार नहीं है ना। और सिर्फ जो आप पूछ रहे हैं कि किस लिए बनाई गई है डेफिनेशन, तो अगर ये सिर्फ हमें तो माइनिंग के लिए ही नजर आ रही है कि आप सिर्फ माइनिंग के लिए खोल देना चाहते हैं, तो इतना पैसा भी कहाँ पूरा खोद देंगे पूरे अगर पहाड़ को, तो क्या करेंगे आप? वो पूरा इकोसिस्टम ही आप कोलैप्स कर देंगे ऐसे तो।
ठीक है, आई थैंक माई गेस्ट फॉर बीइंग विद अस, थैंक यू फॉर बीइंग विद अस। ये टॉप फोकस हमारे लिए है, सेव द अरावलीज। Along with this, ladies and gentlemen, our big campaign, and this is Nota for AQI. It's for you, for me, for the citizen voice. Why is this India's biggest movement now? Because we want to convey it's not politics as usual. This is a warning from the people. This is our campaign pledging no AQI, no vote, choosing Nota not out of apathy but out of anger at not being heard. With just hours left in the winter session of Parliament, lawmakers found time for slogans, drama, disruption, but not for debating India's biggest public health emergency, an air crisis affecting 25 crore people, deadlier, more persistent than COVID. It's affecting our children. There may be no political alternative on the ballot, but Nota becomes the only option, viewers. It's a message to the political class. Silence on toxic air will be punished democratically. Parliament cannot be adjourned without debating AQI. This session will remain incomplete. History will record it as a failure. And this time, the people demand the right to decide what matters more. Because if the air is unbreathable, the vote will not be unconditional. Let me also show you the reactions of Pravesh Verma and Arvind Kejriwal, the face-off and political finger-pointing.
पोल्यूशन कोई एक साल में पैदा हुई समस्या नहीं है। बरसों से पोल्यूशन दिल्ली में बढ़ता जा रहा है और केजरीवाल जी अगर थोड़ा सा भी काम कर देते तो हमको बाकी का बचा हुआ काम करना पड़ता, मगर दुर्भाग्य ये रहा कि केजरीवाल जी ने केवल दिल्ली की जनता को गुमराह किया, धोखा दिया और ये जो सारे काम करने थे, ये जो सारे कामों का पहाड़ बन गया, ये सारे काम हमको करने पड़ रहे हैं। केवल वो दिल्ली की जनता को सब्सिडी के बहाने दिल्ली की लोगों में इवन ऑड करके रेड लाइट ऑन, गाड़ी ऑफ, ये सब ऐसा ड्रामा करके उन्होंने दिल्ली की जनता को बिजी कर दिया था।
इस वक्त जो भी पोल्यूशन है दिल्ली में, वो दिल्ली का अपना पोल्यूशन है और दिल्ली को ये पोल्यूशन दूर करने के लिए दिल्ली को और केंद्र सरकार को उचित कदम उठाने चाहिए। पहला, दिल्ली ने 10 साल जब तक हमारी सरकार थी, इस दौरान इतना सीवियर पोल्यूशन कभी नहीं देखा था। अभी भी जो AQI दिखा रहे हैं, ये ऑफिशियल AQI, वो ऑफिशियल AQI भी सब लोग जानते हैं कि वो मैनिपुलेटेड है, पूरा दम घोटू वातावरण है और उस पोल्यूशन को कंट्रोल करने की बजाय पूरा का पूरा गड़बड़ करने की तरफ उनका ध्यान है।
The Delhi government has been pushing the blame on Aam Aadmi Party. When we confronted and questioned the Delhi Environment Minister, here's what he said.
Sir Sirsa, what do you have to say? People are now voting for Nota over AQI.
Response.
एक मिनट काफी ज्यादा है तो
अभी हम पीसी करके आए ना अभी पीसी तो करके आए Experts are warning that 10 months would have been sufficient for the government to solve this issue. क्या तरीका है ये आप ऐसे क्यों Any response to the situation? कैसे करके आए सबके साथ बैठना आपने सुना सब कुछ फिर आप You're saying it's impossible to solve the problem within 9 to 10 months. कर रहे हैं आप ऐसा What is your response? ना आप ऐसे क्यों कर रहे हैं आपको इनको एक एक को हैंडल कर पाऊंगा ना तो आप बोले हाँ बताए आप सुन लिया अंदर ना
सब मैं था नहीं मैं अंदर
अच्छा नहीं समझा तो आप दूसरे से ले ऐसा अच्छा नहीं अब आप बताइए You said that it's impossible to solve this issue within 9 to 10 months. Experts are saying that you apologize. How do you see this? Do you think people would vote for this? After what you have said that it's impossible to solve this issue. Any response to that, sir? Because the situation is worsening. Please, आप अपना question तो बताएं. My questioning, you have apologized that it's impossible to solve this AQI issue. Experts are saying that this could have been if the government had the wheel. Do you think the government has failed? Who is expert that told you? Can you name that expert? So we can at least have a conversation with them and find out. I think it is not I said it's impossible. I must again reiterate, it's impossible for any government, for any purpose. If it was been possible, then why it took 10 years for Aam Aadmi Party? So how many years maybe? What many years, week? Please let me answer your question, please. It is not about the years. It are the what steps are taken. We have to completely go with the fossil fuel vehicles. You should adopt EV vehicles, which we are doing. You need to have an end-to-end carpeting of roads, so there should be no dust. You need to remove that all dumps of legacy waste, which we are otherwise doing. So these are few changes which we have to bring in, and it will bring change in the pollution. People are voting for Nota over AQI. Any response to that? मैंने अभी आपके दी थी ना पूरी इंटरव्यू दी थी इस पूरी इंटरव्यू दी थी ना आपने तो मैंने आपको पूरी इंटरव्यू दे के आया हूँ How do you see people are suffering from respiratory problems, lot of problems, asthma? How do you see that from people? No, it's a big problem we are facing. You've shifted the blame. No, I'm not shifted the blame. No. The government and the federal Aam Aadmi Party was here for 10 years. I think you must go and interview Arvind Kejriwal ji for that why they haven't done it in 10 years. If they're expecting to be done in 7-8 months, they should have done it in 10 years. So what's next then? We are working on it. We'll let you know again.
And even as this is all the environment minister has to say, it sounds like yada, yada, yada. But children are born and pediatricians are saying they're smoking 10 cigarettes a day. Listen in to what the viewers who are calling in, messaging and speaking in their videos have to say to us.
Today, I'm not speaking as a professional or as an expert, but as a citizen who is forced to breathe polluted air every single day. In my city, the air quality has become so poor that stepping outside has also become very risky. Children fall sick very often, elders find it really very difficult to breathe, and even adults who are very healthy enough experience fatigue and headaches and irritations. And this is not something which is seasonal inconvenience, it's a daily health threat. Instead of solutions, we see political blame games all around. While responsibility has been passed around, our lungs continue to pay the price. And this is something which is very, very serious, very basic thing which as our demand. We need clean air, which is not a privilege, but it's a right, basic right of a citizen. And clean air cannot wait for elections and arguments. So our demand is very clear. It's only clean air.
Hello everyone, my name is Bhargavi Bajpayee, a proud member of Nationalist Collective. I would like to take this opportunity to appreciate Arnab sir and Team Republic for their relentless coverage on the deteriorating air quality in Delhi NCR and other cities across the country. I live in Mumbai and the air quality isn't as that pleasant. Many of us are down with cold, cough and fever. Having said that, I have seen the parliament session going on since 1st December. I have seen our dear parliamentarians discuss everything but let alone pollution. I have seen disruption, chaos and constant adjournments, but I have never seen our politicians coming out together to discuss one of the most important issues, that is air quality, deteriorating air quality across the country. This air quality condition is a national health emergency. And I request all our dear parliamentarians to come together as one to discuss this. Because this not only affects me, it affects everyone across the country. So I request them to come together. Thank you very much. Jai Hind. Namaste.
As a concerned citizen of Delhi, all I'd like to say is that it is shocking to see that now the AQI levels are going beyond manageable levels and the government is at a loss as to what to do. But this is not something which has happened overnight. And we constantly see that it's just a matter of November, and the moment November, December goes, it's back to square one from January, February onwards. And the same old story of, over construction, truck-laden material being transported without covers on the trucks, dust on the roads, which, keeps flying around, causing further pollution, and so on and so forth. There are 101 reasons. Transportation is another main problem with this overpopulation. You have so many cars, the infrastructure is already bursting at the seams. I don't think there is a solution other than if you decongest Delhi. To decongest it, you'll have to move out most of the government offices or maybe places like ISBT, Kashmiri Gate, and other, congested areas to far-flung areas, because you can't have everything concentrated in one part of Delhi. So industries should be moved out and, to far-flung areas. And people should be encouraged to use fast transport to come to Delhi if they have to come.
If an issue that affects 60% of India is not an issue, then what is? How is the most important issue the least important for politicians? The debate that everyone wants, only Arnab talks about it. #Nota for AQI tonight at 8 p.m.
आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला।
13,000 placements last year. At Amity, we are committed to nurturing passionate, hardworking and proactive professionals.
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है? अरे मेरे राजा, सबका राजा प्योर मसाला।
Please stop!
झुमका, तेरा झुमका, तेरा झुमका।
Not there. मेरा काउंटर टॉप टूट जाएगा।
तेरा झुमका।
मेरी चिमनी टूट जाएगी। What are you doing?
रानी, इस घर में कुछ है जो टूटता नहीं।
ये पिलर कभी नहीं टूटेगा। रुंगटा स्टील TMT से बना।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड।
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर, माँ की मुस्कुराहट और खाने की सुगंध। MDH गरम मसाला,
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
आर प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, हेल्दी एवरी डे।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
आर प्योर सूजी पास्ता, उबालो, मिलाओ और खाओ।
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा, आर प्योर मसाला।
Please stop!
झुमका, तेरा झुमका, तेरा झुमका।
Not there. मेरा काउंटर टॉप टूट जाएगा। मेरी चिमनी टूट जाएगी. What are you doing?
रानी, इस घर में कुछ है जो टूटता नहीं.
ये पिलर कभी नहीं टूटेगा. रुंगटा स्टील TMT से बना.
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं. रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड.
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात. वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है. अरे मेरे राजा, सबका राजा और प्योर मसाला.
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो.
Thank you for joining us on Republic TV. You're watching This is Exclusive. Ladies and gentlemen, at 7 p.m., we're getting you two stories which are not really exclusive, but we are getting you pictures. We're getting you reports. We're getting you numbers. We're getting you two stories which no other channel will show you or talk about. First up, we will talk about Nota for AQI, a campaign that Republic started, a campaign that is gathering momentum, a campaign that politicians have begun responding to. That and the Save the Aravalis campaign is on our show tonight. Here are the headlines. Parliament ignores India's biggest public health emergency. Debate on pollution is once again pushed as politicians choose to ignore the AQI emergency that affects almost 60% of India. Is Nota the only option if politicians fail to address an issue bigger than COVID? Nota for AQI becomes the biggest viral campaign of 2025. Campaign to save the Aravalis gathers steam. National concern over redefining the Aravali mountain range that protects all of North India. Activists say approval of new definition of the Aravalis will open up the mountain range for mining exploitation across the 650-kilometer belt. They say that new definition ensures more than 90% of the Aravali hills will not even be counted as Aravali anymore. Ladies and gentlemen, Parliament has found time for everything. Everything except the people of India. While political noise dominates the floor of the House, India is choking city by city, breath by breath. Now, this is not a peripheral issue. They talk about vote chori, they talk about Ji Ram Ji. But the issue of AQI is not something to be dumped, deferred, or buried in parliamentary paperwork. Now, AQI and pollution demands a debate. We've been asking for it. It demands urgency. It needs to be done now, given that AQI is expected to worsen next week. Now, this demand that Parliament be extended, because Parliament is ours, issues need to be of the people, they cannot be ignored. An emergency of this scale cannot be ignored by the MPs, and tomorrow is perhaps one of the last days they can do it before the end of 2025. Now, let's call it what it is, India's biggest public health emergency. In fact, it's bigger than COVID. Right now, Delhi is well over 400 AQI. It's hazardous. Visakhapatnam, 339, severe category. Gorakhpur, Uttar Pradesh, 396, severe category. Mednipur, Bengal, 321, severe category. Kharagpur, 310, severe category. Patna, 352, severe category. Lucknow, 348, severe. Ludhiana, 372, severe. Amritsar, 397, severe. Now, most of India, almost 60% of India is affected when you look at the quality of air. Now, these are not just numbers. These are lungs under attack, and people are asking for an intervention, an emergency intervention, ladies and gentlemen. And that is why here on Republic, we are breaking the usual format. We are breaking the usual format to talk about this emergency. Look at this map. The map there shows you the air emergency in India. 60% of India is affected as a result of the air emergency. Now, all these purple and the red dots that you see there are areas where the air quality is either poor, very poor, severe, hazardous, and most of the states from Gujarat to Rajasthan, Punjab, parts of Jammu, Uttar Pradesh, Delhi, Haryana, Bihar, West Bengal, Odisha, and you look at even the cities along the coast in Andhra Pradesh, many areas are affected, many cities, many states. 60% of India is affected. And that is why we are saying nota for AQI. If politicians who we have voted for don't want to talk about it, then why do we vote at all, isn't it? Here's the story so far.
As Delhi chokes yet again, its leaders look the other way. The air is poisonous, pollution levels are soaring. But inside the house, there was no debate, no discussion, no urgency. What you see on screen is the real-time data of the soaring AQI in just the national capital. The data represents AQI from severe to hazardous situation. This comparison among the AQI of Delhi and other national capitals shows the pathetic situation Indians are left to live in. Instead of addressing Delhi's worsening air crisis, lawmakers choose adjournment. Once again, pollution was pushed to the back burner. The right to breathe fresh air has become a privilege for a layman in India as poor AQI becomes a nationwide biggest health emergency that affects 60% of India. The past few days in Parliament witnessed several discussions and debates. From renaming Mangrega to VBG Ramji to vote chori to Vande Mataram. But the debate on the biggest public health emergency was nowhere to be found. With just one day remaining for the winter session of the Parliament to conclude, debate on worsening AQI across the nation seems difficult, showcasing how people-centric issues hold the least importance for our very own elected politicians.
Another long line outside the CNG pump, as you can see, as there are checkings going on at the petrol pumps to make sure that every vehicle has a PUC certificate, which is a pollution under control certificate. From today onwards, there are around 78 to 80 teams deployed at various petrol pumps and borders to make sure that proper checking is done. So if any vehicle does not have the mandatory PUC certificate, they will not be allowed to get the fuel.
But Republic chose to make a difference. With our campaign, #NotaForAQI, we chose not to look the other way and echo public sentiments and demand for the right to breathe fresh air. Delhi government has ordered that the vehicles without a valid pollution under control certificate will not be provided fuel at petrol pumps in Delhi. But the question still remains, is it enough? Delhi is gasping, the air is deadly, and the silence in power is no solution. Because the right to breathe cannot wait for the next season.
And another linked story, ladies and gentlemen, you can't look at them in isolation. The Aravalli Range, one of the world's oldest mountain range, dates back almost 1.8 billion years to form. And North India's natural shield against desertification is under a huge threat, not from nature, but from a change in definition. A new classification which now proposes that a landform will be recognized as part of the Aravalli only if it is 100 meters in height or higher. Now, on paper, it may look extremely technical, may sound technical, but on the ground, its impact on the Aravalli Range is devastating, on India is devastating. By this definition, only 8.7% of the Aravalli Range technically qualifies instantly, stripping almost 91.3% of the Aravalli Range of its legal entity as Aravalli. So what does this mean? Simply over 90% of the Aravalli Range will no longer be counted as Aravalli at all. Now, that is the implication, and therefore no longer perhaps even protected. And that opens the door for large-scale mining, real estate activity, irreversible ecological damage. Now, environmentalists, experts are warning that this is not just about hills or forests. It's about the survival of North India's climate balance. And if the Aravalli dies, experts caution vast parts of North India could edge towards desertification. Now, the question that all of us are asking is, can we afford to redefine and destroy the first line of environmental defense in India?
India's oldest mountain range is at the center of a growing national storm. A Supreme Court verdict redefining the Aravalli Hills has triggered protests, panic, and fears of irreversible environmental damage. On the 20th of November, the Supreme Court accepted a new definition proposed by the Union Environment Ministry, saying only landforms rising 100 meters or more above the surrounding terrain will now be legally recognized as Aravalli Hills. This verdict removes protection from nearly 90% of the Aravalli region, opening the door to mining, real estate, and large-scale destruction. Environmental experts warn this is no longer just an ecological issue, as the Aravallis act as a national security wall, blocking the spread of desert sands from the Thar Desert. These hills help reduce extreme heat and protect the climate across the region. Lower ridges, now excluded, play a crucial role in groundwater recharge, dust control, and temperature regulation, especially for Delhi NCR. But removing these natural barriers will worsen air pollution, intensify heat waves, and accelerate water scarcity for millions in Rajasthan, Haryana, and NCR. The Aravallis are not just hills, they are the green lungs of North India, a climate shield, a water source, and a frontline defense against environmental collapse. Once these ancient hills are lost, the damage may be permanent and the cost national.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, you try and just go through the map of the Aravalli range, where the Aravallis are located and why they are so critical for India, for all of India. Just take a look at that. It's a 650-kilometer belt, and this is the Aravalli range. This is the Aravalli range, and it essentially, starting from Gujarat, cuts through Rajasthan, all of Rajasthan, Haryana, Delhi, and almost, there are parts of Madhya Pradesh that are also close to the Aravalli range. So it acts like a barrier, like a wall that stops the desertification of the entire northern region. And that is why if you look to the left of the Aravallis and to the right of Aravallis, you will see a stark difference. To the left of Aravallis, the entire area is almost desertified. It's almost like a desert. It's part of Rajasthan. And on the right, it's because of the Aravallis that there is life, there is greenery, there is an ecosystem. And that is why the Aravallis become important. And if 90% of this, imagine the impact if 90% of the Aravalli range were to simply disappear overnight because it doesn't come under the definition of a mountain if it's less than 100 meters in height, which is almost 90% of the range. 90% of the Aravalli range will be less than 100 meters, especially in Rajasthan. And that is why this is going to be an extremely critical decision. And if it goes through, many experts believe that mining firms could run riot. Mining firms could destroy the Aravalli range. And not just mining firms, real estate firms, there could be complete destruction of the green belt, the Aravalli range. And that is why this is so important. Ladies and gentlemen, we have also accessed some breaking news updates that I want to now bring you on the show this evening. Some breaking news updates that we gathered of what the government report in May 2025 had warned. Republic has accessed a report about how the government had warned about mining risks in Aravalli. This report, interestingly, was published in May 2025. The Ministry of Environment and Forest was also a part of the report. There were different state governments, forest departments of Haryana, Forest Department of Gujarat, Forest Department of Rajasthan, also involved in the preparation of this report. And this report specifically said, let's put out the graphics of what the report said. The report said that, yes, let's put out the report, government report graphics of what the government had warned. Right? It said the Aravalli faces increasing threats due to mining, and that the mining activities had dried up lakes in the Aravalli range, and the unchecked mining, especially of silica and granite, had taken place in the last 20 years, which were rampant, and that the mining lease granted by the Rajasthan government especially accounted for almost 80% of the mining that takes place in all of the Aravalli range. And that mining, mining is another issue that was noticed in areas that are adjacent to Haryana as well. So it's not just in Rajasthan, in parts of Gujarat, in Haryana, and that interventions are needed to urgently regulate mining in rocky patches. Now, why are we getting you this report? Because if the government was warned about the dangers of mining, then how is it that mining was allowed? How is it that 90% of Aravallis are not Aravallis anymore, as per the definition, going by the definition? And that is why, ladies and gentlemen, this is extremely critical. Once again, there's a government report. It's a government report, and this government report has been accessed by Republic TV, and we will tell you more about the Aravalli range. It's a court order. In fact, Supreme Court gave a verdict in November 2025. It's one of the final orders of the former Chief Justice of India, CJI Gavai. It was one of his last orders, and it is extremely controversial. People are extremely angry about it. Let me go across to Neelam Ahluwalia, who's joining us on the show. Neelam Ahluwalia is the founder of our People for Aravallis campaign, and she's joining us on the show. Neelam, if you can simplify it for our viewers, why this order or the decision to change the definition is extremely dangerous for the Aravallis.
Hi. So essentially, the Aravalli range is already bleeding in a very, very bad manner. We actually gave two big reports to the Ministry of Environment as well as the Haryana government earlier this year in May and June, talking about how, because of mining, 2 complete districts in Haryana have been annihilated to the ground. So out of 7 districts in Haryana, the Aravallis are just like left to rubble and dust in 2 districts of Charkhi Dadri and Bhiwani. On top of that, across Rajasthan, there are, there's mining happening in every district. There are 27 districts out of 41, which is 65% of Rajasthan, where the Aravallis are present. And there is not a single district where the Aravallis are not bleeding because of mining. There are 3 districts in Gujarat, the same situation there. So in 37 districts in Gujarat, Haryana and Rajasthan, the Aravallis are already in a very bad state. Because of the mining having raised the hills to the ground, this is a 2017 report which came out that there are 12 breaches that have already been formed in the Aravallis, because of which the desert is advancing towards eastern Rajasthan, western UP, Haryana, Delhi. So now the situation of desertification is that 360,000 hectares of land in Haryana is already degraded. These are government figures from 2021 Desertification Atlas. 60% of Rajasthan has already been degraded. What do we mean when we say degraded? It means that your food security is totally threatened. So opening up 90% of the range to mining is, I don't know how people, millions of people living in Northwest India are going to live. So our water security is directly, it's directly linked to the Aravallis. These are our lifelines for water and for air. There is the water recharge potential of the Aravallis is 2 million liters per hectare. When mining happens, it damages the aquifers. In a lot of the cases, even now, the licensed mining goes beyond, it breaches the groundwater level. So wherever the mining has been happening across the range, the water level, groundwater levels have gone down to 1,000 feet, 1,500 feet. Wells have dried up. the rivers flowing out of the Aravalis have dried up because of mining, or they are like badly polluted. So where are people going to get the water from? Groundwater is finishing. Surface water bodies have vanished as a result of mining. And now instead of conserving the range, you want to open 90% of it to mining. So where are the people going to go? Where is the wildlife going to go? It is unthinkable what is happening. And how can you define India's oldest mountain range? Tomorrow you're going to say that Ganga only exists till like 20 feet, and below that there is no Ganga. Like how can, it is so unscientific. Aravalis are present as much as they are above the ground, they are also below the ground.
Yeah.
So how can you say that only Aravalis which are above 100 meters are counted as Aravalis? And where is the process of public consultation? How can the government just decide what is the Aravalis and the Supreme Court accepts it?
Neelam, can I ask you?
What about all the people who are living in the Aravali belt whose lives are going to be directly impacted? Not just people who are living in the Aravali belt, even beyond that. Because when the Aravali hills go, the desertification is not just going to be in Rajasthan and Haryana where the Aravalis are. It's going to extend to Madhya Pradesh, to Uttar Pradesh, to Haryana, to Delhi. तो लोगों से पूछा गया है क्या?
I'm asking you a question, Neelam. Neelam, can you hear me? My question is, if 90% of Aravalis will no more be a part of the range as per the definition, right? It obviously opens up a lot of options for those who want to take advantage of that. And my question to you, specific question is, if there is a government report that warns about mining, and warns specifically about mining on the Rajasthan side, and there is a report that says 80% of the licenses are given in Rajasthan for all the mining that happens around Aravalis, right? Now, by definition, if 90% of Aravalis are not going to be Aravalis anymore, who benefits? Is it the mining lobby that benefits?
Obviously, that's a straight off thing. I mean, the Supreme Court order is very specifically saying that this definition is with regards to mining. So, our point is that why do you want to mine, our ecological heritage? Why is the government not looking at alternative building materials? You're going to raise an entire range which is critical for ecosystem services for entire North India because you want to make buildings and you want to make roads. How regressive can we get in a time when India is one of the most vulnerable countries to climate change? So we want to finish off our lifeline for air and water.
Yeah, it appears to be the case. Thank you, Neelam, for speaking to Republic and for simplifying it for our viewers, helping them understand, because a lot of people joining us from different parts of the country. And if you're watching this broadcast, ladies and gentlemen, it's not just a story that impacts one part of the country. It is a story that impacts all of India. It is a story that will likely impact at least 7 to 8 states of India. And that is why this is extremely critical. Once again, I'm taking you through the map of why the Aravali range, preservation of the Aravali range is critical. From Gujarat to Rajasthan to Haryana to parts of Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh, ladies and gentlemen, the Aravali range acts as a shield. It acts like a barrier. It acts like a barrier. And to the left of the shield, is mostly desert land, a dry land. And to the right, the Aravalis make sure that they block all the desertification of all the states on the right. And that is why it is so critical for us to preserve it. And if by definition you're changing 90% of that, if by definition you say 90% of the Aravali range is not Aravali anymore, it then opens up the opportunity for mining firms, perhaps mining lobbies, mining giants, for the real estate guys to just destroy the Aravali range, which is extremely, extremely critical. It's a 1.8 billion mountain. On that note, We'll take a break on This Is Exclusive, ladies and gentlemen. Two big debates coming up on the show tonight. At 8 p.m, Nota for AQI, our campaign continues. Until there is a debate, we will keep asking politicians that uncomfortable questions. And at 9 p.m, Save the Aravalis with Arnab. Special debates. Stay tuned.
Co-powered by Century Ply Club Prime. रहो बेफिक्र।
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर, माँ की मुस्कुराहट और खाने की सुगंध, MDH गरम मसाला,
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा।
13,000 placements last year. At Amity, we are committed to nurturing passionate, hardworking and proactive professionals.
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है? अरे मेरे राजा,
मुस्कुराए लड़खड़ाए जिंदगी, चाहे जो भी हो।
सर, पेशेंट के लिए कौन सा रूम प्रेफर करेंगे आप?
जिंदगी भर के प्यार का कोई रेट कार्ड नहीं होता। टाटा AIG हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस, विद यू लाइक फैमिली, विद यू ऑलवेज।
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
XTR is the most advanced helicopter which is present with Indian Navy. It's an all-weather aircraft which can operate by day and night both.
If an issue that affects 60% of India is not an issue, then what is? How is the most important issue the least important for politicians? The debate that everyone wants, only Arnab talks.
Co-powered by Century Ply Club Prime. रहो बेफिक्र।
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
पैसा लगाना है तो सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम पे लगाओ। डूबेगा नहीं, जलेगा भी नहीं, कोई खा नहीं जाएगा, धोखा नहीं देगा, ऊपर नीचे भी नहीं होगा, सेफ रहेगा, सिक्योर्ड, मिनिमम 30 साल का रिटर्न देगा। अब इससे बेटर इन्वेस्टमेंट है तो बताओ। सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम, रहो बेफिक्र।
आर प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, हेल्दी, एवरीडे।
मुस्कुराए लड़खड़ाए जिंदगी, चाहे जो भी हो।
सर, पेशेंट के लिए कौन सा रूम प्रेफर करेंगे आप?
जिंदगी भर के प्यार का कोई रेट कार्ड नहीं होता। टाटा AIG हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस, विद यू लाइक फैमिली, विद यू ऑलवेज।
आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार, विमल। बोलो जुबान केसरी।
आर प्योर सूजी पास्ता, उबालो, मिलाओ और खाओ।
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा, आर प्योर मसाला।
झुमका, तेरा झुमका, तेरा झुमका। नॉट देयर, मेरा काउंटर टॉप टूट जाएगा। तेरा झुमका। मेरी चिमनी टूट जाएगी। What are you doing?
रानी, इस घर में कुछ है जो टूटता नहीं।
ये पिलर कभी नहीं टूटेगा। रुंगटा स्टील TMT से बना।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड।
As the year ends, is all set to witness an interstellar comet glide past Earth on Friday, and the anticipation leading up to it is nothing short of intriguing and interesting. Now, with the closest ever appearance of 3I Atlas still being twice as far as the Sun is from the Earth, the buzz created over its sighting tomorrow has picked up, and it won't die down anytime soon. And that's not all. We have the US President Donald Trump create a stir online with the plague's installation. This is as President Trump has never disguised his disdain for his Democratic predecessors, and now that animosity appears to be quite literally on display inside the White House. Visitors walking through the West Colonnade near the Rose Garden this week noticed newly installed plaques beneath portraits of former US presidents. Now, what stopped many in their tracks wasn't routine historical context, but something that was far more pointed: a blunt, deep personal scorecard written in Trump's unmistakable voice. And of course, next up, breaking the internet is fugitive birthday bash. Lalit Modi has hosted Vijay Mallya's pre-70th birthday bash, sparking much chatter online. And lastly, we have the Epstein files that are soon to be released as anticipation picks up the pace. We have this and a lot more lined up in this episode for you tonight. I'm Mantra, and this is Trending. Viewers, mark your calendars and save the date for tomorrow. This Friday, the 19th of December, we are all set to witness an interstellar comet making its much anticipated closest approach to our planet. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We have 3I Atlas all set to whoosh past Earth like a train thundering through station tomorrow. And it's very close to us as well. Now, 3I Atlas will be about 1.8 astronomical units away, where 1 AU is the average distance between Earth and the Sun. The inference? It will still be almost twice as far away as the Sun, now well beyond the orbit of Mars. NASA, ladies and gentlemen, believes it to be about 270 million kilometers or 170 million miles away. And our fellow astronomers and stargazers anticipate, nay, demand high-resolution images of the comet to be captured by astronomers by NASA or other space agencies on Friday. Now, first spotted on the 1st of July 2025 by the NASA-funded Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System, or the ATLAS. It's a survey telescope, ladies and gentlemen, in Rio Hurtado, Chile. This comet initially did not appear to be anything out of the ordinary. Soon enough, this interstellar comet did turn out to be something completely different. Follow-up observations soon prompted the finding that this comet was the third confirmed interstellar object to visit our solar system after the famous 1I in 2017 and the less-known comet 2I Borisov in 2019. Now, what does this mean, viewers? This means that unlike any and every comet that we know, 3I Atlas is one of the only 3 comets we have ever discovered and formed beyond our solar system. That's right, viewers. And now, how does this comet look like? It's a big chunk of dark, dusty, dirty rock that's passing through our solar system after traveling through space for who knows how many millions of years. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, NASA on its social media platforms have released an explainer on its Jet Propulsion Laboratory account, which will now be played for you in just a short while. Take a look. Well, ladies and gentlemen, shifting our focus here, President Donald Trump has never really disguised his disdain for his Democratic predecessors. And now that animosity appears to be quite literally on display inside the White House. Visitors walking through the West Colonnade near the Rose Garden this week noticed newly installed plaques beneath portraits of former US presidents. Now, what stopped many in their tracks wasn't the routine historical context, but something that was far more pointed: a blunt and a very deeply personal scorecard written in Trump's unmistakable voice. Now, former President Joe Biden's spot in the gallery remains the most provocative. Instead of a traditional photograph, Trump has retained an image of an auto pen in Biden's frame, a pointed visual take that echoes his long-running claim that Biden was mentally unfit and unaware of what was being signed during his presidency. There's more, viewers. A plaque between the frame leaves little to interpretation. It declares, and I quote, "Sleepy Joe Biden was by far the worst president in American history." It goes on to allege that Biden took office after the most corrupt election ever seen in the United States, accusing him of presiding over unprecedented disasters that pushed the nation to the brink. Once again, repeating Trump's unfounded claims that the 2020 election was stolen. Now, on the other hand, Barack Obama's plague fares no better. It brands the 44th president, the first black president in US history, as one of the most divisive political figures in the American history, and criticizes his healthcare law, the economy, and the rise of ISIS. As president, he passed the highly ineffective Unaffordable Care Act. This is what the placard says. In fact, notably, Donald Trump has included Obama's middle name, Hussein, a pointed reference to the conspiracy theories he once promoted, questioning Obama's legitimacy. The accusations don't stop there, ladies and gentlemen. The plaque goes on to further claim that Obama spied on Trump's 2016 campaign and engineered the Russia investigation, allegations that were repeatedly rejected by the investigators. He also says, and I quote, "Obama also spied on 2016 presidential campaign of Donald J. Trump and presided over the creator of Russia. Russia hoax," is what it states, viewers. Now, unsurprisingly, Trump's plague strikes a very, very different note. It credits him with ending 8 conflicts in 8 months, attracting trillions of dollars in investment and restoring American strength. None of the figures are independently verified there. Now, unlike the tradition, Trump has also displayed portraits of himself while still in office, breaking with the norm that presidential images appear only after the leader leaves the White House. Now, hot off the plate and straight to your screens, ladies and gentlemen, here are the hot trends of the day. Melania Trump has released the trailer for her upcoming movie documentary. The film offers what its producers describe as a tightly focused look on the days leading up to US presidential inauguration. Titled Melania, the 104-minute film is scheduled for a global theatrical release on January 30th, 2026 and will open across North America, South America, Europe, Asia, the Middle East and Israel. Now, precisely at midnight Pacific time on December 18th, marking exactly 365 days until the premiere of Avengers Doomsday, the Russo brothers took to Instagram to share a minimalist teaser featuring a digital clock ticking down the months, the days, hours, minutes, and seconds remaining until the release. Now, while the clip is brief, it contains a menacing detail. For a single blink and you miss it frame, the digital readout violently glitches, replacing the numbers with the word Doomsday before returning to the standard countdown. Now, in a rather distressing news there, ladies and gentlemen, actress Nidhi Agarwal was mobbed, manhandled as she was exiting the Raja Saab song launch event in Hyderabad. Now, several of her videos of her being escorted to her car by the security have gone viral online, with the internet criticizing the incident. Donald Trump visibly faltered while reading from the teleprompter, stumbling over the numbers 14,50,000. Instead of delivering it cleanly, he paused and blurted out more than 1,450,000. Think of it like this, earning laughs all over the internet. Take a look.
I am also proud to announce that more than 1,450,000, think of this, 1,450,000.
Now, Dubai Crown Prince Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum took to Instagram today to share an incredible video of a lightning bolt striking the top of the world's tallest building, Burj Khalifa. Now, the video has wowed people, despite it being as short as a visual. Now, it shows the Burj Khalifa against a dark sky. In a moment, the lightning bolt strikes the steel structure on the top of the building. Strong crosswinds led to a dramatic moment for Qatar Airways. Landing in Atlanta, the video of which swiftly went viral and shows Qatar Airways flight QR755 appearing to come very, very close to a tail strike while landing at Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport as the pilot maneuvered due to the high winds. Renowned sculptor Ramveer Sutar, best known for designing the Statue of Unity in Gujarat, passed away at the age of 100. He was also the creator of the 108-foot statue of Kempegowda, installed at the Kempegowda International Airport in Bengaluru. A recipient of Padma Shri and Padma Bhushan, Sutar shaped some of India's most iconic public monuments. Now, the internet could not stop fangirling and raving as Apple Martin looked stunning in mom Gwyneth Paltrow's 1996 Calvin Klein dress at Marty Supreme NY premiere. Now, netizens online clamored in support of the spirit of the timeless and sustainable fashion. Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma took to his X handle to post pictures of the new LGBI airport terminal, which is scheduled to be inaugurated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi on December 20th. He wrote, and I quote, "Good morning, guys. New LGBI pics just dropped and it's sure to blow your mind." The internet was left stunned and excited as Therese Gibson, who stars in Fast and Furious movies, shared an on-set picture featuring none other than Cristiano Ronaldo, Vin Diesel, Dwayne Johnson, Jason Statham and Ludacris. Now, sharing the picture, Therese in fact wrote on X, "Welcome to the family, Cristiano. The global dance just went into new heights." Now, ladies and gentlemen, here's a post that broke the internet completely. From one fugitive to another came a lavish pre-70th birthday celebration. That's right, viewers. Netizens cannot stop talking about the Lalit Modi throwing party for Vijay Mallya in a pre-birthday party bash. And with the guest list being as famous and them posting pictures and videos from the party with zero hesitation, it did not take long for his birthday party to make multiple rounds on the internet and go viral. Now, if a fugitive hosting a birthday party for another fugitive wasn't fodder enough for social media, Lalit Modi and Vijay Mallya decided to up their viral quotient a notch higher. The guest list to this party was nothing less than elaborate and extravagant. Held at Lalit Modi's Belgrave Square residence, the event saw a familiar mix of high-profile names including Biocon founder Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw, actor Idris Elba and fashion designer Manoviraj Khosla. In fact, famed photographer Jim Riddle also shared a photograph from the night on his social media accounts, thanking Lalit Modi for hosting a quote-unquote a fabulous pre-70th birthday party in honor of Vijay Mallya. To which Lalit replies in response by thanking the guests for celebrating his friend's birthday bash at his home. Also spotted was Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw, photographed in two pictures, one with Manoviraj Khosla and another in conversation with Idris Elba. Now, the visuals from the party have completely broken social media, their viewers, as the chatter online about this event goes viral and trending. Now, social media was enthralled by the array of visuals that were coming in from this pre-birthday bash of Vijay Mallya. Netizens have found it particularly amusing as to this quote-unquote fugitive's birthday bash, and the comments online have absolutely flooded the internet. Now, from comments slamming the celebrations, alleging the two ought to be arrested, to calling them out as thieves, the online reactions have been intense and there have been plenty. Safe to say, the internet is divided. On your screens are some of the reactions that are coming in, ladies and gentlemen. The common sentiment remains. It's one fugitive throwing a party for another. Now, interstellar comet 3I Atlas is not the only appearance scheduled for the world on Friday. Friday also marks the day when the much talked about controversial Epstein files are to be tentatively released. Now, the release of the Epstein files detailing the probes into the disgraced multimillionaire and sex offender who died in 2019 has attracted significant attention. The public has been captivated by Epstein's lavish lifestyle, claims of underage sex trafficking, and his ties to President Donald Trump, former President Bill Clinton, celebrities, and foreign dignitaries. Now, veto-proof majorities in Congress passed a law last month requiring the Justice Department to release all of the Epstein-related files in its custody. Trump fought hard to stop the law, but signed it after being outmaneuvered in a bipartisan groundswell of support from the lawmakers and the public. And while it's unclear exactly which records will be made public and how much of the material will be available and will be new, especially as thousands of files have already been disclosed through civil litigation and public records. Requests over the 20-year saga surrounding Epstein's sex crimes, here's what the survivors had to say as the vote to release the files had come through. Take a look.
I do have a little anxiety for the Epstein files to come out and be made public to the public. My name's not redacted. And I do feel the one thing I need to project and put out there into the world is, you know, for the privacy of the survivors and the victims, they should be protected and their names should be redacted because that's the right thing to do after all the trauma and just everything we've been through.
In the files is myself would be fine, and then the other alleged men, women that were unfortunately attacking and abusing these young girls, younger than me, teenagers, children. So if their names are in there, that would be great. I know a lot of them don't want that because they were underage. I was not underage.
Regardless of how we feel, deserve, not even want, we deserve the transparency, we deserve the honesty, we deserve the clarity, and we deserve the public to be able to see both sides of what happened. And right now it's very one-sided, as it has been for a very long time.
I am feeling so happy, so thrilled, but also very worried about these files being released. But mainly we are feeling right now very, very happy about the files being released.
Fast, zippy, and exactly how they should be. Ladies and gentlemen, here are the fast trends of the day. Oman's highest civilian honor, the First Class of the Order of Oman, has been conferred on PM Narendra Modi amidst his tri-nation diplomatic visit. Indian ministers back home in India have rejoiced and celebrated the occasion as they take to social media to congratulate Prime Minister Modi's latest accomplishment.